We need to cut benefits even further. Later today, Rachel Reeves will deliver her spring statement outlining how she plans to address sluggish growth. Last week, she announced big welfare spending cuts, but the Office for Budget Responsibility says they're going to save less than planned. She's going to be getting $3.4 billion from them, not $5 billion. She's going to have to find more savings. She might have to freeze universal credit, incapacity benefits, etc., rather than letting it rise in line with inflation. So let's just take a look at Ms. Reeves as she prepares for this big moment of the spring statement under a lot of pressure. We're asking, what is she thinking? What is the Chancellor thinking here? It's always very difficult to see into the head of a Chancellor. It must be pretty hot in there. She's got an awful lot going on. The main issue, bigger than anything else, is that she said she would fund the extra spending with growth, and growth hasn't happened. And that was, in a way, the mistake of Labour's election campaign, is that they promised growth that hasn't happened. OK, so inside the head of the Chancellor, what have we got? Let's pick out some headlines. They're all different. Well, you know, this is trivial, and it shouldn't really be there, but I guarantee she's thinking about it. She had free Sabrina Carpenter tickets, and yesterday, one of her colleagues, another Labour minister, said that it's not appropriate. So that's pressure on her. Now, to the actual budget content. New rail, roads and laser weapons for Navy as Reeves tries to soften the blow of extra cuts. So it's all about trying to up our defensive capability. Fears of further tax rises. That's another one, but they've really hamstrung themselves on tax with their election promises. So that's hard. She's then going to give this background. The world has changed, says Reeves, as her plans unravel. So there's unravelling, a concentration on defence, and, crucially, benefits facing deeper cuts. And that's a sort of insight into the head of the Chancellor, Nina, isn't it? And it's all there.
It's all there. And I think one of the most important things the world has changed. And what has changed about the world? It is Trump. The Conservatives have always banged on about the reason that things went so badly wrong was because of COVID. And I think that Trump's arrival on the international scene is having the same almost potential financial effect.
He's only been there 6 weeks.
Well, but you've already, you know...
He's only been there 6 weeks.
Yes, but what he's done in those 6 weeks is to turn the entire world upside down.
I mean, he has basically said we've got to defend ourselves. That's the thing. It's like we've got a very, very big friend with lots of knuckle dusters, and the big friend suddenly says, I'm not coming out with you anymore. And so we have to buy more weapons, don't we?
We've got to buy more weapons because we've been cutting defence spending year on year for decades.
Well, maybe we were
the end of the Cold War.
Yes.
Well,
Yes,
maybe we were. Do you think we were freeloading, in the words of Vance?
We've always been, since the Second World War, we've sheltered behind America.
Yeah.
The whole of Western Europe has sheltered behind it.
America's wanted us to do that.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Well, yes and no. I mean, we left it to them to defend the Rhine and, you know, the border with the Soviet Union.
We had
Germany wasn't allowed to rearm.
We had the British Army of the Rhine, which was a massive force, was withdrawn after the Cold War. It was about 50,000 servicemen were stationed in West Germany. British servicemen were stationed in West Germany.
But if you're Rachel Reeves looking into her head there, and we had a bit of smoke coming out, because it is a very, very stressful thing, because A, she's promised growth that hasn't happened. B, she's made arguably a political mess by taking the winter fuel payments from the pensioners, although some of them didn't maybe need it. And C,
she's upset the farmers.
Well, there's that as well. But the big picture is that Trump has suddenly said, you've got to buy your own army now. You've got to actually double your army, have more weapons, etc. And we were never ready for that.
We were never ready for that. Europe has been sleepwalking into this situation.
Yeah, a bit.
But then also there's the threat of the tariffs, what's going to happen with that, and also the fact that one way that Rachel Reeves might have got herself out of the hole financially was to tax the big tech companies properly. We can't do that now. We absolutely can't do that. So she's hamstrung on all sides. And although, you know, the thought of cutting benefits is anathema to me, the fact that our welfare budget is so vast, and so bloated, something needs to happen. And I feel really sorry for her because it needs must. I mean, the only good news is this morning that inflation has fallen further than anticipated to 2.8%. It was due to be 2.9%. So that is going in the right direction.
We're clutching at straws there, aren't we?
Absolutely. But
you sounds like you think we should cut benefits. I know you do, Brian.
Well, I think we should look at benefits. And seriously, you know, governments after governments, including Conservative governments, have failed to get to grips with the rising number of claimants. This is the big thing. Why are so many millions of people claiming disability benefit? Are there more disabled people in the country than there were 20 years ago? I'm not sure about that.
Well, the thing is, the figure that upsets me is that there are nearly 1 million people between the age of 16 and 24 who are neither in work nor education.
And have anxiety.
And have anxiety. And one of the reasons they probably have anxiety is because they don't have a purpose in life. They don't have something, when you were younger, people would say, and what are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to do? Do they ask kids that question these days?
40% of young people have decided that working in a job would be too much, according to a recent poll. Let's go to Gary in Essex. So she's going to have to do something pretty radical, Gary.
Yeah, I know she's got to do something radical, but I saw a post on a social network site saying they're voting, all the members of Parliament are voting in a pay rise for themselves. Where's the money going to come from for that? Is it going to come from the benefits cut?
Well, over to Brian. Let me let Brian respond on that.
That is peanuts. We significantly underpay our members of Parliament. Significantly underpay them.
OK. Camera over this way.
But £300 a day for signing in?
That's for the Lords. The £350 a day is if you're a member of the House of Lords and you turn up. MPs receive a salary and it's well below what many of them could earn in outside business.
What is it, 90 grand or something? Or?
I think it's about 86,000.
Yeah.
Or something like
You think that's too much, Gary? 86,000?
Yeah, it is. I'm on after tax and insurance, I'm on about just under 25 a year. And I'm helping to pay the bills with the bills here at home.
Yeah.
And I'm hardly left with anything. And my wife's PIP, what she gets, it's totally useless.
You could cut MPs' pay to nothing. It wouldn't solve the black hole that Rachel Reeves is allegedly facing.
Gary, thank you. Barbara in North Yorkshire, what do you think? Where's she going to go for these savings?
Well, I think she does possibly need to look at some of the benefits payments. I feel that the numbers of benefits claimants are just going up crazily, and the amount paid. How can it be right for someone like Gary, who says he's getting $25,000 a year he earns, for someone on benefits to be receiving much, much more than that? I mean, if for example, you're giving £700 a week to a drug addict, he'll buy drugs with it.
Is that the case? I don't know. What's the drug addict claiming for? Disability benefit or something?
Yes.
I don't know.
The same with an alcoholic. If you give that £700 to an alcoholic in benefits, he's going to buy alcohol.
Well, I'm not sure because, after all, the alcoholic needs to find a job, and it's not necessarily going to be the private sector might not want to employ them. So then what do you do?
Well, I think obviously there needs to be more help for people with huge addictions. Money should be put into that to helping people with the
Well, there we go. I mean, people are so cross about this, Nina.
Well, absolutely, and I can completely understand it, but it seems completely self-defeating to give an addict the wherewithal to continue their addiction. The money,
I don't know whether. Yeah, I don't know. Does that happen? You get benefits money and you spend it all and become a worse alcoholic?
There's endless money spent on addiction services. Now, we should be probably putting more into addiction services, but where does that money come from?
Yeah, well,
Local authorities have got no money. The NHS has got no spare cash. Where do we find the money for addiction services?
I do not know. Barbara, thank you. More calls after the break. Should the government cut benefits even further? Because it seems that the cut they made is not enough because they've miscalculated. 0207 862 2222. See, going back to whether we need to cut benefits even further. Lots of calls on this. It's a number of things have happened. Sorry, just to recap here. So they promised growth. It hasn't happened. They then have to increase money to the army because, arguably, Nina says, because of Trump. Fair enough. They then have to save money on benefits. But the crucial thing that happened yesterday was that they were told the $5 billion they thought they'd saved is only $3.5 billion. Because when people have their benefit cut, they apply for a bigger benefit instead. And they didn't factor that in. So it's like a pinball machine. It's just going from one thing to another at the moment. Bianca in Kent, hello.
Jeremy.
Do you think they're justified in cutting benefits further?
I think the cutting word is the problem. I've rang before. I spoke to Rob Brinder and astonished your studio when I announced that I got $1,900 a month after my rent was paid.
What are you claiming for then, Bianca?
I'm on the highest amount of universal credit and PIP because of my mental and physical disabilities.
Okay.
I've only been able to get one hospital appointment in 3 years. And I'm sitting here now, and I believe I've got bronchitis, and I need to go to the doctors.
Right.
And I can't drive, I can't walk, and I'm absolutely petrified of going outside.
So you've got agoraphobia?
Yeah, severe agoraphobia.
Right.
And I would happily give up a few £100 of that benefits if I could see a doctor about my feet. And my mental health, I've just had to learn to live with. I've had it 30 years.
I'm trying to make a count. I'm just working. If you're on £1,900 a month, I reckon you're on $22,000 a year. And if you were paid a taxable salary that gave you $22,000 net, it would probably be 30.
Yeah,
that's after she's paid for her.
The rent is paid.
The rent is on top.
So you're on a 30. I mean, you're never going to go out and get a 30 grand job at this point, are you? I guess.
Well, no. I mean, I used to be a teacher. That was 10 years ago. But I can't see me doing that again. My mental health's just gone on for too long. And the thing is, when you get to a certain age, they give up on you. They basically just.
So you've got the teacher's pension scheme to look forward to.
You've got a teacher's pension, Bianca?
No, I didn't. No,
one of the most generous pension schemes in the country.
Is that right?
I haven't.
Always used to be. Teacher's pension scheme, the local government pension scheme.
Yeah.
Really generous pension scheme.
Are they too generous with you, Bianca? That's the key question.
I think that the money is just put into the wrong place. I would rather have someone to help me to get out and about, which would then create a job for them. I'd rather lose a few hundred or 800 of my money and have someone to help me get out with my agoraphobia and stuff like that. And also, can I just say one last point?
Go on, yeah.
The whole thing about young people not working between 18 and 24, I don't think it's anything to do with COVID. I think it's the fact that they can no longer buy a house or got nothing to aim for anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think when you're young, you've got a dream, aren't you? Surely, Nina.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely
money.
disagree with you, Bianca, on that because that one day they think they can't buy a house. When I was growing up, a house wasn't necessarily a big aim. You rented with friends or people used to live in bedsits, but it was about life and enjoying it. And the thing is, I think with young people,
we are obsessed by buying property in this country.
They feel entitled it's enough to be. They don't understand that you have to pay your way. You have to work to earn money to do the things that you want to do.
Well, how are we going to have this enhanced army if we've got no young people paying tax? Bianca, thank you. And call again. That's amazing. If that's a 30 grand a year income before you net the tax out, that's incredible on benefits. Brian in Newport, hi.
Hello.
Sorry, Brian, we didn't get your fader up. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got you loud and clear. What would you like to say?
Right, I think the government shouldn't be cutting benefits. What they should do, they're spreading themselves too thin by trying to sort out too many big things, and then they're robbing people to pay Paul. Like, they should use all their energy to stop the use of hotels. That's £145 per person per night. Use all your energy to sort that first, not try and do this, all in one go, which you can't do, and they've proven it, and it's just silly.
I don't know, because they could get bogged. Look at the Rishi Sunak government. He got so bogged down in it. I appreciate what you say. The last figure I heard was 6 million a day to put migrants in hotels.
There are some hotel owners making a good living from the government.
Yeah, what do we do about it?
The government has just dispensed with one of these agencies, these big companies that facilitate this whole business. So there are people creaming it off the top, making millions out of the government. So the government, I think this a couple of days ago, has dumped one company.
Yeah, but if Brian, if we do your idea and you say that you cannot have migrants in hotels anymore, Won't they all just have to live on the streets?
No, what I said was you've got to use your energy to sort one thing at a time. You can't sort the NHS, this, with no money, no things to think, and then you try to struggle, and then you're looking around to get money from somewhere else, and it's the easy people to take it from, and then these people, like us and disabled and whatever, look across and they see these people £145 a night, take it to football matches, yoga classes and things like that, and you think, well, why don't they use all their energy, sort that out so the hotel's not being used?
Okay, Brian, thank you.
Then look at taking money off other people. You can go around and sort out all the different parts then, but it's no good trying to do 20 things at once and not do one thing good.
Okay, I hear you. I mean, I guess in the end, you have 22 people in the cabinet precisely so you can do 22 things at once. Otherwise, we're going to be here forever. Thank you, Brian.
Well, and at the start of a new government, you've got a big majority, you get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
Time runs out in politics.
They've got a massive majority. We keep forgetting. They've got total power. It's a bit like Trump.
Exactly
they could do
like
the thing
Trump.
of 60 things in the
so
morning.
Kelly Badenoch jumping up and down and saying whatever she says.
Makes no difference.
Irrelevant.
No,
It's
it makes no
completely irrelevant.
But they haven't done anything really big yet, have they?
Because they came into government with apparently no plan. They must have known they were going to win the general election. But they appear to have no
I don't think it's fair
plan.
to say they had no plan. They had plenty of plans. They honestly,
they did the winter fuel allowance. They did the farmers' inheritance tax. They are
None of that was thought through.
They
None
have
of that was
dumped
thought
NHS
through.
England. They've started
That's
to
true.
dismantle
Yep.
all the things that are wrong, that are kind of bloated. To dump NHS England is a massive thing.
Yep.
And Wes Streeting, who I really admire, has had a plan all along, and he is just solidly going through with it because you need to sort things out.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, if he can do anything to improve the NHS, he'll probably get a knighthood out of it. Roy is in Greater Manchester. Hi, Roy.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, you sound a bit unhappy this morning, Roy.
I am, yeah. Every time you discuss this on your show, someone mentions the 18 to 24-year-olds that are claiming benefits.
Yeah.
But what about the older people in society?
What, you mean pensioners?
Well, exactly. A lot of them, because in every city, every town, in fact, in every neighbourhood in this country, there are bogus claimants. And they're the ones that are bleeding the system dry. So,
wait, are we talking about disability here, or are we talking about people claiming the state pension?
Well, top-ups to the state pension, bogus claimants for this,
bogus,
that and the other.
Older, bogus claimants bleeding the system dry, Brian.
There are far too many people who've taken early retirement, men and women in their 50s who are now living the high life. There are many rich pensioners out there in our community.
Well, I sort of figure 1 in 4 pensioners is a millionaire.
Well, they're desperate to hang on to their properties to leave it to their children.
The big thought is that you've got to stop the state pension going to half the population.
Well, I don't think. Look,
it's not the state pension; it's the private pension.
State pension is so minimal, and people have paid in all their lives.
Correct.
They are entitled to have that back to them. Doesn't matter
if they're getting substantial private pensions on top of their state
pensions. If they've got
pensions.
substantial private pensions, that's fine. They should do that. I mean, if we could discuss the triple lock, I think the triple lock should be means tested. And I think that's fair enough. And then you presumably get all the problems that came with the winter fuel payment. The people just on the wrong side.
Any politician who suggests changing the triple lock would be voted out of office at the next election. Any politician of any persuasion, nobody's brave enough to suggest it.
That is the firm word. Thank you for all your calls on this. Just got to take our break.